Welcome to Astrology of the Unknown.
A true crime astrology podcast.
We are your hosts, Joseph Mulholland,
And William Holloway.
and today we
We
are
got the whole thing right for
we
once.
did, we did, we did.
That's what we did.
We're so professional.
Mm-hmm.
How was your Christmas?
2026. Huh?
How was your Christmas?
Good. It was nice. It was really nice. I mean, the holiday overall was very nice.
Yeah, same.
Uh, got up to Seattle for a bit and just kind of like wandered around old neighborhoods and feeling nostalgic and yeah, it was really great. How about you?
I went home to the farm and saw my family for a few days, and then I was back here for New Year's in Baltimore, and I went to our friend Stacy has Stacy
Yeah.
has a dance
Hi,
party that
Stacy,
yeah, Stacy
if you're
uh
listening.
she has a she has a dance party that it's like every 3 or 4 months she has a dance party called the See You Next Tuesday dance party, and it's on Tuesday nights, and it usually starts at like 7 and it ends at like 10:30, and it's just like a big dance party in her living room. They haven't done a See You Next Tuesday dance party in a while, and so they did one on New Year's Eve. So it wasn't necessarily See You Next Tuesday, it was like See You Next Wednesday, I guess. I don't know. But we went there, and then we went to
Fun.
the gay bar, the club, to
Club.
ring
I
in.
almost for a hot second was like, the Club, is that a new gay bar in Baltimore that
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
called the
have to check
club.
out? The Club.
Yeah, the club.
The Club.
Um, but yeah, that was it. And yeah, and I've got major Sunday scaries because tomorrow's my first day in the office in like 2 weeks.
Oh
Um,
yeah, everybody's going back to life
back to life.
tomorrow. I know.
Um,
I'll take the structure though. I need it a little bit. But
yeah, I kind of I feel like I'm one of those people who, the phrase, if you need something done, give it to a busy person. Um,
yeah.
I I'm definitely that kind of person, and I thought that I was gonna have all this time over the last 2 weeks to like work on projects around the house or do music or whatever, and I've done nothing. I've honestly done nothing. And
That's all right.
I feel like I get more done when I'm actually like working or have other things going on because I have less time to, fuck around.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah. So I'm also looking forward to having the structure of having to get up early to go to work. I didn't get out of bed until like noon today. Terrible.
Wow. Chris has
You
been
know?
having to wake me up because we get in bed, we get in bed early because we live out in the middle of nowhere. There's something very, I don't know. I don't know what it is. We want to like get in bed or something.
Yeah.
When it's just dark out there. But it's like 12 hours. I'm like waking up like 12 hours later, or like needing to get up, be like woken up. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
definitely.
I don't know why I used to be an early riser, and the older I get, the more I'm just like I cannot get my ass out of bed. Like I'll wake up early, but I'll just lay in bed and play with my cat or
Yeah. Oh,
um
I like to get up early, but it takes me a long time to get ready. I don't know what it is. I need that time. Or else
I
I'm a
thought
mess.
I thought the older I got, the better I would be at getting up early and like getting things done in the morning. And it is the exact opposite.
My mom wakes up later since she's been retired. So, I mean, everyone's different. My grandmother was always up at 5, sometimes earlier than that.
Maybe I'm
But
just maybe I'm just trying to like Maybe I'm just trying to will my retirement into existence. I'm just planning. I'm planning ahead.
Yeah. I mean, my stepdad retired in his early 50s, only a few years away from where we're at. I am nowhere near that, but God,
Oh,
what
me
could be like?
neither. Me neither.
You have to be like, your hobby has to be money. I feel like if you're going to be able to retire that early, like, you have to really enjoy the same. Like, you'd have to be one of those kids that really enjoyed getting that bank account and like watching the money, the savings account rise and all the different ways you could like influence it. Things I was never really raised on or interested in, unfortunately,
Or taught. They
or
don't teach
taught.
us. They never taught that shit to us in high school.
No, they
High
don't.
schools. If there's any high schools out there listening, whole entire high schools, you know, teach your fucking students how to invest. Teach them about student loans and what compounded interest is. That shit is gonna kill you. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, speaking of deaths,
Speaking of death,
nice little segue into our topic today, which is the death of Brittany Murphy. I know that Brittany Murphy's death has been confirmed to have been complications with pneumonia and anemia. So you might be wondering why we're like talking about it in like an unsolved podcast. But there's been a lot of speculation about the circumstances surrounding her death. There's a lot of conspiracy theories. There are a lot of documentaries and docuseries and articles that have been written about her death and why it is suspicious. And before I get into it, I just want to say, like, this is all for entertainment purposes. Like, we are not making any claims.
yeah.
This is just to get that out there. This is like all alleged for entertainment purposes.
But I mean, I wanted to look at this because I don't think everyone knows the whole story unless you've seen
No.
some of the documentaries made about it.
Yeah.
I never thought anything was that odd or suspicious until seeing some of these documentaries and hearing some very concerning details around her death. And so that's why I wanted to look into this is, was this self-destruction? Mixed with, I know they said fever, but she was weakened by, drug use. I mean, that's pretty clear, right? Like she had been taking pills.
Yeah,
Um,
and a lot of it was like over the counter or like prescribed medication. When we say drug use, we're not talking about like coke and heroin. I mean, she could
oh,
have, but
pills.
it's not talked about. Right, but a lot of the pills that she was, well, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. All right.
She was so pretty.
That's very pretty.
Okay, so Brittany Murphy was a beloved American actress who tragically died at 32 from pneumonia and anemia, though her sudden passing alongside her husband Simon Mojack months later remains shrouded in mystery, sparking theories of drug abuse, environmental toxins, and foul play despite official findings pointing to natural causes. Now, her career, which peaked in the late 90s and early 2000s, saw struggles with fame and self-esteem, leading to career decline before her untimely end. Brittany Murphy was born in Atlanta on November 10th, 1977, and she began acting at a pretty young age, gaining significant recognition as Ty Frazier in the iconic 1995 teen comedy Clueless. She was a very versatile actress, excelling in both comedy in films like Just Married and Uptown Girls, as well as drama in films like Girl Interrupted, Sin City, and 8 Mile, where she actually played Eminem's girlfriend.
Oh,
She
yeah.
also provided the voice of the iconic Luann in King of the Hill. She was
Oh,
also beginning a music career. She had been featured in Paul Oakenfold's Faster Kill Pussycat, and she was working on a studio album actually at the time of her death. Despite her successes, Murphy's later years were marked by struggles with fame, perceived appearance issues, and reliance on prescription medications, a narrative explored in films like The Brittany Murphy Story. Sadly, Brittany Murphy died on December 20th, 2009, at the age of 32, with the official cause of death being pneumonia and iron deficiency anemia, complicated by drug intoxication from prescription medications. While her untimely death was a shock, the seemingly mysterious circumstances only intensified when her husband, Simon Mojak, died of similar causes just 5 months later. Now, I'm going to give you the timeline of events leading up to her death, like I like to do. And then I'm actually going to talk about some of the conspiracy theories, one of which is like pretty wild. So, months before her death, from like June to December of 2009, co-stars from her final film, Something Wicked, noted that Murphy appeared increasingly frail and was a quote unquote shell of herself. Her eyes were sunken, she seemed sad, and she had Bambi legs and couldn't stand
Bambi
very
legs.
well. Yeah, that's apparently one of her co-stars said she had Bambi legs and couldn't stand very well.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know what that means, but I think we can all kind of paint a picture.
Yeah.
In late 2009, Murphy and her husband, Simon Mojak, and their mother, Sharon Murphy, were in Puerto Rico for a film project called The Caller. During this time, all three became ill with flu-like symptoms, and Murphy was abruptly fired from the film due to her husband's behavior.
Whoa.
Apparently, he was very overbearing and he caused a lot of issues on set. In the
Yikes.
weeks leading up to her death, she returned to Los Angeles, but her flu-like symptoms continued and worsened. The illness was left untreated and actually developed into severe pneumonia. The family reportedly used over-the-counter cold medications to manage the symptoms. On December 3rd, 2009, Murphy attended a pop-up party, which was one of her last public appearances. And on the day before her death, December 19th, 2009, Murphy stayed in bed all day and was apparently suffering from laryngitis, which she treated with herbal teas and other remedies. And she was apparently gasping for breath, as her mother later reported. So around 3 a.m. on the morning of December 20th, 2009, Murphy went out onto the balcony to get air due to some breathing difficulties, and she told her mother, "Mommy, I can't catch my breath. Help me." Later in the morning, she collapsed in the bathroom of her Hollywood Hills home. And around 8 a.m., a frantic 911 call was made by her mother, Sharon, who reportedly said that her daughter had passed out and was ice cold and that her hands were turning blue. On the way to the hospital, paramedics did attempt to revive her, but they were unsuccessful. And at 10:04 a.m., Murphy was pronounced dead on arrival at Cedars-Sinai Medical Hospital. The Los Angeles County coroner later ruled her death accidental, caused by a combination of untreated pneumonia, severe iron deficiency anemia, and multiple drug intoxication from legal, over-the-counter, and prescription medications. Her husband died in the same home 5 months later from the same causes, which led to ongoing speculation, though the coroner refuted claims of things like toxic mold or poisoning as the cause of death. Toxic mold and poisoning are two of the theories. Now, I'm going to talk more about her official cause of death as well as some of the theories that have circulated over the years. Like I said, her official cause of death was pneumonia and anemia, and the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office did officially rule this as her cause of death, saying that it was accidental. Her death was said to have been preventable if treated earlier, as she had untreated flu-like symptoms that worsened into severe pneumonia, with her anemia and medications weakening her ability to fight the infection. So the theory holds that her underlying anemia made her highly vulnerable, and a mix of medications like anti-seizure drugs, acetaminophen, and hydrocodone further compromised her immune system and oxygenation, leading to a fatal, overwhelming infection. So basically, her anemia lowered her blood's oxygen carrying capacity, which the drugs in her system further impaired. And because of that, a bacterial infection, so staph A, caused
Mm.
lung abscesses leading to septic shock as the infection spread. So that's the official cause of death.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah. So the first theory is that of toxic mold poisoning. So this theory speculates that the mansion, which, fun fact, had previously been owned by Britney Spears, uh,
Oh.
had a black mold problem that had not been addressed. The key points of this theory look at things like similar illnesses that she and her husband died of. So they both died of pneumonia, anemia, and intoxication in the same home, leading to questions about the environmental factor. Um,
Right.
there were also family members and other people who reported seeing mold in the house, with Monjak's mother claiming that her son found severe mold and experienced hallucinations before his death, which was actually
Oh,
discussed in a People.com article. And because their symptoms matched so much, like the flu-like illness,
yeah.
they also had some skin issues, some rashes and things like that. Those kinds of things do align with mold exposure. However, the coroner's office dismissed this, saying that there were no indicators that mold played a role, and autopsy reports showed no mold in their lungs or organs, according to a CNN article. Now, Murphy's mother was initially skeptical, saying later that she believes mold was a factor, and she actually reported this to the Hollywood Reporter. And despite official findings, the coincidental deaths and alleged mold presence fuel ongoing speculation and conspiracy theories, often fueled by documentaries and discussions on various social media platforms. So, in essence, while the official cause was pneumonia and other factors, the mold theory remains a significant theory of the enduring mystery surrounding Brittany Murphy's death, supported by family claims but contradicted by medical examiners. The next theory is the intentional poisoning and foul play theory. Murphy's estranged father, Angelo Bertolotti, who actually did time in prison for being an agent in the mafia, he actually publicly alleged that his daughter was murdered via poisoning, possibly by her mother, Sharon Murphy, for financial reasons. So this is his claim.
Okay.
So the key points of the poisoning theory are hair test results. Angelo hired a private lab and ordered them to basically test one of her hair strands. And they found high levels of 10 different heavy metals in her hair, suggesting potential criminal poisoning.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The lab suggested that this could be from a third party perpetrator. And again, the similar death of her husband, Simon Monjack, also fueled these suspicions.
Yeah.
Um, but the theory was dismissed by officials. So official toxicologists stated that she lacked the fingernail lines called leukonychia striata as an indicator of heavy metal poisoning. So people who suffer heavy metal poisoning get these like lines on their fingernails, and
Okay.
neither she nor her husband had any of that. And the coroner's report didn't note any other common symptoms, one of which is gastrointestinal issues. So they didn't have some of the telltale symptoms of heavy metal poisoning.
Right. Like someone that had been poisoned over a a long period of time. If it,
Right.
right.
There's the question of her hair test results, but that can also be explained. The experts noted that hair tests aren't definitive of poisoning, especially for heavy metals, and can be influenced by things like hair treatments, dyes, and hairsprays, or other environmental factors that aren't absorbed into the bloodstream. So aren't if you're in a if you are in an environment that has a lot of toxins in the air, even if you aren't ingesting those things, they can show up on your skin, in your hair,
Yeah.
things like that.
I mean, her hair, in every picture we have of her hair is a different color. And
Oh yeah,
also, yeah,
she was always coloring her hair and doing crazy stuff to it. But
yeah.
that's everybody. I mean, that's so many women in Hollywood, so many people
Right.
in Hollywood, not just women, are constantly changing their hair for roles and things like that.
Right.
Again, the Los Angeles coroner office, they were like, no, this is not a heavy metal poisoning. Like, we are going to stick with the pneumonia and iron deficient anemia. So, another theory is that her husband was the perpetrator of extreme isolation and neglect. And this is actually talked about in the documentary What Happened to Brittany Murphy, which, heavily focuses on the behavior of Simon Monjack, painting a picture of him as a con artist who isolated Murphy from her friends and family, controlled her finances and career, and neglected her health in her final days. Friends and colleagues suggest that His actions and control contributed to her physical and mental decline, and his refusal to seek professional medical help when she was severely ill was a major factor in her preventable death. And that could very well be the case. Like this can also exist in her official cause of death. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It could be a
Um,
little bit of all of it. I mean,
yeah.
wasn't he kind of like a known scam artist? Hadn't he like scammed somebody or something? Or
Yes, there was something about him. I didn't put it in my notes because it wasn't like, I don't know, I just didn't think about putting it in there. But I did read something. And also, wasn't it in the documentary that he had scammed somebody?
yeah, I just don't remember because I
Me
haven't
neither.
rewatched it.
But he was like kind of a known
A
con artist.
sketch. He was sketchy. He was a sketchy
Yeah.
guy. No one seemed to really trust this guy.
Yeah. So, you know, Murphy was repeatedly kept home away from doctors and friends by her husband and her mother, which prevented early medical intervention. She
But
also,
didn't, oh, sorry.
know what we're going to say?
The mother was living with them.
She
Right.
was.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, she was living with them at the time. And Murphy developed severe pneumonia, which became lethal due to a combination of all those drugs. And her husband and mother attributed her death to a heart condition, mitral valve prolapse, and denied illicit drug use, but the medical findings pointed to pneumonia. So it's weird that her husband and her mother said that she died from a heart condition, but the autopsy findings pointed to pneumonia. Because her husband died 5 months later of something similar, this also fueled speculation about shared environmental factors or neglect. So the theory posits that her death wasn't a tragic illness, but was worsened intentionally or through severe negligence by the controlling environment created by her family.
Right.
And the last theory, which is the craziest, the most far out, and the newest, is the P. Diddy theory.
Oh my God. All right.
Um,
Let's find out.
so the theory linking P. Diddy to Brittany Murphy's death is, again, just disclaimer, it's an unsubstantiated conspiracy theory that emerged online after Diddy's recent legal troubles and the prior death of his former partner, Kim Porter. Now, there's no concrete evidence connecting him to Murphy's death, and the official causes of death for both individuals were determined by the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office as natural. So the speculation stems primarily from a few coincidental or loosely connected circumstances. So because Murphy and Kim Porter had similar causes of death, so that is one of those connected circumstances. So Kim Porter was P. Diddy's former partner. She died in 2018 from lobar pneumonia, which the coroner ruled as a natural cause. Brittany Murphy's cause of death was determined to be pneumonia. The similarity in the primary cause of death of both individuals fueled online speculation of foul play. They also had the same coroner, Ed Winter, a deputy Los Angeles County coroner who was
Oh,
involved in the autopsies of both Murphy and Porter. So conspiracy theorists point to this as a suspicious link, though Winter passed away in 2023 of natural causes, so we can't really like ask him.
of course.
They also had Hollywood connections, so speculators have drawn tenuous connections, such as Murphy's husband, reportedly having the same personal trainer as Diddy, and that the trainer allegedly was owed money by Monjack and Murphy. Another link mentioned is that Murphy dated Ashton Kutcher, who was associated with Diddy. There are also some unsubstantiated claims in Kim Porter's posthumous memoir, in which she
Oh, that.
what?
Sorry. That memoir, I got to put in quotes because that's a whole other thing. Do you know about that memoir?
I do, and I actually talk about how its authenticity is like not the best.
Oh my God. Yeah, this guy just like shows up with it essentially. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I've read some of it.
I
I
haven't
don't.
read it, so I don't, but I know that it was, anytime I see something being self-published, I'm like, nah. And this was a self-published memoir in
Yeah.
which she apparently talked about abuse in their relationship prior to her death. However, Diddy and Porter's children, as well as her close friends, have denied the book's authenticity and labeled its claims as false and
Yeah.
hurtful. So the P. Diddy theory remains an internet-driven conspiracy theory based on some coincidental circumstances and unverified claims with no factual or official evidence to support it. So basically, the 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 main like theory in the P. Diddy in the overarching P. Diddy theory is that Diddy got Murphy and Monjack connected with his personal trainer, and they didn't pay the trainer. And so the trainer went back to Diddy and said, "Hey, these two assholes haven't paid me for the personal training," and that Diddy just like, you know, did what does, I guess. I don't know.
Diddy did what Diddy does.
Diddy did what Diddy does.
Diddy did what Diddy does.
So, what really happened here? Why are so many people drawn to Brittany Murphy's death and as this unsolved mystery when an official cause of death has already been given? Is there any truth to these conspiracy theories? I know that there's a romanticism to the untimely death of the American starlet, and sometimes that romanticism is accompanied by speculation and skepticism. So, maybe the answer lies in the stars. And I'm gonna pass it over to you and see what you have to say
Ah,
about it.
maybe it does. Let's find out. The first thing I want to look at Brittany Murphy's birth chart.
Let's do it.
So, Brittany Murphy was born November 10th, 1977 at
Mhm.
12:16 a.m. In Atlanta, Georgia. That makes her a Leo rising, which Joseph, you're a Leo rising, so you know a thing or two about being a Leo rising.
I am. Yeah.
Leo risings often are natural performers, or they're comfortable performing, or they have this natural gift of being in front of people, or something like that. Performing is usually part of their life in some kind of way, being on a stage. Their hair is also often a part of their narrative. I always like to mention that with Leo risings. She also was a Scorpio moon, and me and Joseph both have Scorpio moons. So uh I could do a whole, and in fact, I've been meaning to do a whole episode on Scorpio moons. I'm gonna do a whole episode on Scorpio
Oh, we
moons.
should. That sounds
Yeah,
like fun.
yeah, we totally will. But yeah, so she has actually a whole Scorpio stellium. Her sun is in Scorpio, so she was born on a Scorpio new moon. She's got Venus, the moon, Uranus, and the sun all in Scorpio. So she was obviously able to get down with like dark subject matter. There was definitely tension between her image and her hidden life, as you can see that her first house, all that Leo stuff is squaring all that Scorpio stuff. So that's just an interesting kind of like dichotomy.
Yeah.
And Scorpio, especially Scorpio moons with Scorpio energy in general, there just is like, I don't want to use the word tragedy, but there is like a darkness that they are
There's
familiar with.
darkness.
Yes, there's a darkness they're familiar with, whether it's something that's happened in their life, or at some point, someone with heavy Scorpio stuff is going to have some darker moments in life. It's going to be pivotal.
I
You
dated a
know,
triple Scorpio.
oh, you dated a triple Scorpio.
Oh yeah. It
Like
was
Katy Perry.
she is triple Scorpio?
Yeah, she is like everything in Scorpio. She's insane.
Yeah. I dated Katy Perry,
Amazing, amazing.
basically.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we could go on and on about, but the
Ugh.
Scorpios also love their vices, whether whatever it is. Like anyway, that I could go on and on about that, especially when you've got the Scorpio or the Venus Scorpio moon conjunction.
Hmm.
This woman liked the spices of life, the good and the bad, I'm sure. So she's got her Saturn and Leo in the first house. 29 degrees, which is like a really important degree. But she was the breadwinner early on.
Oh yeah.
And this is something you see with people that have Saturn in the first house. They can have this feeling or need or reality that they have to provide or take care of the family earlier on in life. They have responsibilities more so than people their age early
Hmm.
on. I'm sure that was very true with her. Her and her mother had a kind of Probably not the most healthy dynamic, I'm assuming. I can only imagine. Like, it was just the two of them, and I'm pretty sure in the documentary, one of them I saw, the mother talked about her like they were more like sisters.
Yeah.
And when you have that, and you're in a place like Hollywood, and the daughter is the one with all that Scorpio stuff, and she's the one in charge, they probably didn't have the healthiest relationship. But I'm sure they
Oh
loved
yeah.
each other, right?
Oh yeah.
But I also think it's funny that like so she had Mercury in Sagittarius at 0 degree, like right as Mercury had entered Sag. I just remember thinking like in the late 2000s when she would do interviews on like late night shows, she always spoke with a British accent. There was like a period where she was speaking with a British accent.
Oh, I remember that.
Do you
Britney
remember this?
Spears talks in a British accent too.
Who does?
Britney Spears.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Same
but
house.
that one's a different reason. I feel like with although I think she has Mercury and Sag too. So either way, I was going to say people with Mercury and Sag they're more likely to speak in a foreign accent as like a thing. It's just kind of a funny little thing. But
Wild.
also because she was, she was like she also reminds me of someone that I would have been like friends with in that when I went to drama camp, like someone that you're friends with, but they can be a bit much sometimes, but you still like them, but they're also kind of annoying. But anyway, so that's just like a little bit about her chart. I think it speaks a lot to who she was as a person. But natural performer with a tragic life, right?
Hmm.
Let's look at before we look at the death chart first, let's look at it as a transit as transits on top of this chart. So
Okay.
yeah, so the death of Brittany Murphy or the 911 call happened on December 20th, 2009, 8 a.m. in Los Angeles. And so the main reason I wanted to look at this on top of it was just to first point out how that Mars retrograde in Leo was right on her ascendant. And I just find like when Mars is right on the ascendant, especially if it's retrograde, things like accidents, making poor decisions, or getting sick. Honestly, like I remember the first time I got COVID, I had Mars on my ascendant.
Hmm.
So being unlucky and catching something, that could be Mars on the ascendant. It can be many things. It could be getting in a fight. It can be, maybe reverting to bad old behavior. So Jupiter and Neptune are conjunct with the moon in Aquarius, opposing her first house stuff. So yeah, all the stuff up here opposing her first house stuff. So it was like there was too much of something. Neptune can be sickness. And something like getting out of hand, like with Jupiter. It could totally be, this could be sickness. Could also be, Neptune can be drugs. It could be, it can be mixture of both of those things. So
Hmm.
yeah, that was the first thing I noticed when I put the transits on top of her birth chart. Now
Interesting.
let's look at the chart by itself. I'm having weird glitches with this program. Okay. So again, this is the when the 911 call happened, which also, by the way, and you probably said this, but I just found, and this was honestly the reason I wanted to do this, was that the mother is the one that makes the 911 call for her daughter, right? And then
Hmm.
5 or 6 months later, she's also the one that makes the 911 call for her son-in-law.
Yep.
So the mother's involved either way, whether she did something or not, she's part of the story.
She's
Uh,
definitely part of the story for
Definitely
sure.
part of the story. So I wanted to go in keeping that in mind. I wanted to go in thinking, okay, let's look at this from different angles. Let's see what if there was a crime that happened, who would be the perpetrator, right? And
Hmm.
then if there isn't a crime, like is there anything that points to accidents or something or just, bad luck? So this chart has Capricorn rising. So Saturn in Libra in the ninth house represents Brittany Murphy. Saturn is exalted in Libra, which to me speaks to her. Because remember, when we look at the planet that represents the victim, it's telling us about who she was, how she was known, and all that stuff. So an exalted Saturn is like a professional, and in Libra, it's like the arts. So it's like a professional in the arts, an accomplished actress. What I found odd about the ninth house, because like I also like to think of like, okay, when this happens in a house, like what part of the house are they in? And the ninth house, when we think of an actual house, usually represents like a sanctuary space. So it really
Hmm.
can be anywhere that, say, the owner in the house is like, this is my sanctuary space. This is where I go to like meditate, read, whatever. Like, and so,
Right.
you know, it can be anything. And I just thought, like, I wonder if there was a space that she felt like that she could spend hours in. Like I feel like wherever that was, this is where she was when she died. And
Huh.
I found out apparently she loved her bathroom. Now, the eighth house is typically the bathroom, but the planet is right on the edge there, right? Of the eighth and ninth house. I bet you it was
Yeah.
a really big bathroom and it probably had like an extended room or something, but it was just interesting. Her husband said that she loved to be in that bathroom and she would just be in there for hours just hanging out. So
Interesting.
that was her sanctuary spot.
Huh.
Also, something that I have noticed when you have the planet representing the victim in the ninth, the person or victim could have possibly trusted the wrong authority, meaning like they feel like they're putting their trust in somebody that they probably shouldn't be. Anyway, so that's about like the planet that represents Brittany, but also the whole first house speaks to her. So we've got the moon in the first house, the moon in Aquarius.
Hmm.
So the moon can represent the mother, and we know the mother was there. She's the one that made the 911 call. The moon in the first can show us the victim was very vulnerable, which we know she was. She was very, being anemic made her susceptible, right? Like it's no joke when you have when you've got that combination of things going
Oh
on.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And the moon also, because we think about how quickly the moon changes. So the moon can also in the first indicate changeability. So like plans changing at the last minute, or she was one way 1 minute and then things dramatically shifted really quickly, which is interesting, right? Like that she maybe could have appeared better than she was. So that's why she wouldn't go. I don't know. Um, but then another thing. Mercury is in the first house. Mercury, as you know, is about communication, and being in the first house can tell us that a conversation or that communication was part of this story. I mean, you could say yes, because the mother called 911 at this time. So that is part
Yeah.
of it, right? Um,
Yeah.
but it also makes me wonder, like, were her and her mother together? Like, was there a conversation happening? Was there argument? Was there some kind of conversation or disagreement that took place around when the event happened?
Well, I'm almost wondering if there was a conversation around whether or not they should take her to the hospital, and like maybe one of them wanted to take her to the hospital or call somebody, and maybe the other one didn't, or maybe were, or maybe like they wanted to take her to the hospital and she refused, or
Right.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. That could definitely be it. So yeah, so that's the first house. Bunch of stuff's going on in the second house. We've got Jupiter conjunct Neptune in Aquarius. If this is in fact a crime, Jupiter in the second can point to a crime being committed because of inheritance. So with Neptune, this can take on the flavor of like emotional manipulation, or
Okay.
even money missing. So like vanished valuables, again, pointing to the victim, if there is a victim, trusting someone they shouldn't have. And then Uranus here can indicate a sudden loss of money, or something changing in that regard. So all this stuff in the second house does make me wonder if there was like money. I don't know.
Interesting. And it almost makes me wonder if part of the reason why she did not receive medical attention is because maybe one or both of them, or somebody else completely, like who knows who else was in that circle of people.
Right,
Um, like if they were keeping her sick on purpose to be able to have access to her money without her knowing or like her being too distracted and
Yeah.
sick to notice.
And then she didn't.
All this speculation.
Yeah, all speculation. Well, before we get to the descendant to talk
Hmm.
about the possible perpetrator, I want to bring up the 12th house because that's the other house where there's a bunch of stuff going on. We've got
Okay.
Venus with the Sun and Pluto. Venus is squaring that Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. Venus in the 12th can be about drugs or alcohol playing a role in the background, like
Okay.
something hidden. There's an element of isolation as well. And then the sun being there, that's kind of all the same stuff, like something hidden, something obscure, drugs or drug taking place, or like something being hidden from people. And then Pluto, something deep is hidden, right? Like if there was a crime, Pluto here is telling us that it's been erased or
Mm.
it's being covered up,
Okay.
and that the possible perpetrator, if there is one, is criminally evasive. All right, so getting that out of the way, let's talk about the seventh house and the descendant, which represents the perpetrator, if there is one. It's ruled by Cancer. We also have Mars and Leo here. So again, if there was a crime that took place, there was a conflict. Mars represents conflict. Being ruled by Cancer, it's telling us, it can tell us a bunch of stuff. One, it's very obvious. This is a domestic scene. This is happening at home, right?
Mhm.
If there's a perpetrator, it would be a maternal figure, with the moon being in the first house and representing the victim, though. I want to consider the idea that maybe this chart is telling that it isn't someone else and that it's telling us that this was brought on by the person that they were the one that Brittany is the one that triggered her own demise, if that's, if that's, you know what I
Interesting.
mean? Like that's another way to look at it, I think. But it doesn't really give me any clarity, right? Because it's like either did the mother really did something bad, uh, or she did this to herself. But I don't necessarily
Huh.
think that, at least that's where I feel from this point, at this point anyway, right?
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. But then with Mars opposing the moon, does make me wonder if she was having an argument with her mother. There was conflict with the mother of some kind. I do remember reading at some point that they were thinking of moving or buying a house somewhere else, and they didn't want the mother to come, and she was not happy about that or something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, the father didn't think very highly of the mother. I mean,
No.
he thought she poisoned them both. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like if I mean, I know he's got his own demons and his own flaws in character, but
But still,
for one person to say make that for one person to make that accusation about another, like there's got to be some there's got to be some reason why that claim was made. And I think that you're right. I think that there's probably some kind of conflict happening.
yeah.
There's probably, I mean, like, listen, the fact that the mother is living with her daughter and the husband, like, and there was no one else around in the house, like that, I just feel like that can create tension, and it's a breeding ground for arguments and conflicts, if the dynamics
Yeah.
aren't right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So regardless of like what her cause of death was or like what the reason behind her death was, I definitely think that there was probably some like tension and friction and arguments.
I think so too. Yeah.
And
Well,
some of the
reread.
things that I've read and some of the
Yeah.
documentaries I've seen like also kind of point to that too, that there was some, you know, that there were some issues. So
Yeah. It does seem like that way for sure. Well, why don't we look at the asteroids and fixed stars to get some clarity before we look at the depth of Sun and Jack?
yeah.
All right, so asteroids. Conjunct the moon in Aquarius as an asteroid called Astrea. Astrea. This
Hmm.
asteroid symbolizes perseverance in toxic situations, enduring past the point of reason in harmful relationships or environment. It can indicate an individual who has endured an unhealthy relationship to the point of self-destruction.
Dang.
And that's conjunct the moon, which, well, I do think it's talking about the mother. It feels like it's also telling us about like Brittany. It's Brit the moon in the first is it's very much about Brittany as
It's
well.
Brittany, bitch.
It's Brittany, bitch. Directly opposing the sun in Sagittarius in that 12th house is an asteroid called 8 in Gemini. 8, A-T-E,
Oh, like she ate.
like she ate.
Left no
Uh,
crumb.
yeah. This asteroid can indicate foolish behavior. Poor decisions on the part of the victim's actions, however unintentional, can lead to their own harm.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then directly across from that, Venus is an asteroid called Ophelia, which can be about accidental drowning, which we know
Hmm.
that she didn't drown per se, but impaired
Well,
someone's.
but pneumonia is
Oh yeah,
basically like you get lesions on your lungs and you can actually like, drown in your own lung fluid. So,
that's true.
and if she was
That's
having a hard time breathing that, then it was most definitely like think about what I was saying earlier about the oxygenation, like the lack of oxygenation in the blood and the fact that she was saying that she couldn't breathe. She was basically like suffocating, which is kind of it's similar to drowning. So that would make
yeah,
sense.
that would make sense. Huh. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. And then we also then across from that Mercury in the first house. So now we're talking about something related to that communication is,
Hmm.
and we've seen this asteroid before, an asteroid called Laverna, which is related to theft and deceit. Conjunct the ascendant. So the ascendant's at 13 Capricorn. There's an asteroid called Pandarus, and it's about betrayal, manipulation, and deceit.
Hmm.
And yeah. And then uh, for fixed stars at 13 Cancer, so conjunct the descendant, there's a fixed star called two jackals, which
Okay.
yeah, which can denote a creative person, a brave person, and someone very skilled at something, but can also point to an accidental poisoning.
Hmm.
And so that's the ch- this that's all the major stuff for this chart. Now, without looking at Simon's chart, my main conclusions would be, I'd need to know more about what the mother was up to because it definitely seems like there were some issues and some betrayal going on involving the mother,
Yeah.
or that there was some kind of conflict, maybe an ongoing conflict that could have affected her immune system as well if she was stressed out, about the fact that they were, moving and mother, he's like, she can't come. And mom's like, I'm coming. And, I'm sure that would stress Brittany out. She's already fragile, right? Yeah. So anyway, that's my takeaway from just looking at the death of Brittany Murphy, the 911 call chart.
Interesting.
Yeah. But let's look at, and I've already done the deep dive. We don't need to look at every single thing and in the Simon Monjack chart, but just we'll look at the main stuff that
Okay.
tells us what we need to know.
Yeah.
So he passed away, or I should say, the 911 call for Simon Monjack happened on May 23rd, 2010 at 9:20 p.m. in Los Angeles. Same house. The mother was still living there. In fact, she had moved into the bedroom and was sharing the bed. That there were medications he was taking that had her name on it and vice versa.
That could
if
be a motive.
yeah, I mean, if pills are part of this story, it kind of makes me feel like everybody involved was just on pills. I mean, it was 2009. The like pill farms or whatever they call them, the pill Billy farms or pill Billy, those like big spots that they've done documentaries on since. That was really big at that time, like where people could go to the doctor and get all drugs.
Yeah.
And pills were more popular than regular street drugs at that time. So,
Oh yeah.
that's something to consider. So anyway, this chart is actually a Sagittarius rising. So that means Simon is ruled by that Jupiter in Pisces. which is interesting because Jupiter in Pisces is actually that's its home sign, so it's in pretty good shape, but it's conjunct Uranus. So not the greatest shape. And it's
Yeah.
opposing that Saturn. There's some heavy stuff weighing this person down.
Huh.
And also just because now I'm kind of obsessed with when something happens in the house, I'm like, well, what room was he in? I don't know by Googling, but my guess is from this is that he was in maybe the computer room because the third room can be like um a room where you have like your computer.
Electronics,
Like
things like that.
yeah. But with Uranus conjunct that Jupiter, that's like sudden events happening, something happening really suddenly.
Hmm.
The descendant is in Gemini. So if there's a perpetrator in this case, it's ruled by that Mercury in Taurus. So in the past, we've seen when Gemini is involved, that on the descendant in a crime chart can mean that there's multiple people involved.
Okay.
That Mercury is in the fifth house. It's ruled by Venus, which is in the seventh house in Cancer. I know. Well, first off, the fifth house can be about partying, right? Like that's like you see that often when maybe someone's taking something too far. So I was like, was he partying with somebody?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, but what's this I thought was a little creepy. Maybe I'm looking too much into this, but remember in the other chart, Brittany was represented by Saturn in Libra. Now the moon, which was about her mother before, or partly about her mother, is in Libra. Almost like the moon took place of Saturn from where it was before, right? It's kind of
Wow.
creepy that she kind of
Yeah.
like, I'm sure I know grief is
Seventh
very
place.
crazy, but the way these two grieved together, I think was a little bit bizarre. And then Venus is in the seventh house, ruling over that moon. Venus is opposing Pluto, maybe some kind of exposed dark relationship stuff. But I don't know. It's just so weird because going back to that Jupiter, it has some dignity. It's a good. Being in Pisces, which then also makes me think, okay, did they bring this upon himself? Remember, Amy Bradley also was represented by Jupiter and Pisces, and that was part of the reason we felt like
Oh, right.
she had some agency in this. Like she kind of walked into the trap, right?
Yep.
And so that kind of makes me feel like this is something that maybe he brought on himself. And then again, going back to remembering that that Brittany was represented by Saturn. Now that Saturn is opposing Jupiter, it's like he's died because of the ghost of Brittany. It's just, I don't know.
Oh,
It's kind of crazy.
that is a little creepy.
Yeah. But then I did get into a few asteroids here, and then we'll conclude this one because this one, I'll be honest, confused me a little bit with the asteroids.
Yeah.
Because right on the descendant, the one that if there's a perpetrator, right? Right on the descendant is that asteroid called Silentium, which is about someone being killed to silence them.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was really crazy. And so then I started looking into all the other asteroids related to hired killings and all that stuff. And I didn't really see anything else. So I'm like, I don't know. But then conjunct the ascendant is a
Hmm.
fixed star called Rasalhag, which indicates mental instability. So that's telling us that he was not mentally well.
Okay.
Then also Jupiter remember is him. And conjunct Jupiter and Uranus is a fixed star called Sheet, Scheat, and it's associated with extreme misfortune.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, exactly. And then conjunct Mercury, the killer, if we want to call it that, is a fixed star called Scheider, which can be related to heartbreak. And then the last thing, because the whole first house is going to tell us about the state of the victim or person that we're looking at when they pass. And Pluto being in the first house, I think really speaks to deep dark issues. I'm struggling with some of the darkest stuff that a person can be struggling with mentally. Maybe he really did die of heartbreak.
Maybe. Like, if the theory was that the mother had something to do with it,
Yeah.
it would make sense. Like maybe Simon caught on and he
Yeah.
maybe he was about to like blow the lid off the whole thing or something. Um,
Yeah. Like it's almost like choose your own adventure, right? Like if the mother did it, then he probably didn't die of a heartbreak. He probably died because he knew something and he was being silenced. If Brittany had in fact died of her own doing or a misfortune and not taking care of herself, being surrounded by the wrong people, which so often these circumstances, tell us that, then maybe, he died similarly because he was living similarly. And yeah, it's like I can see both avenues with this, and I'm just
yeah.
not sure. I want to know more about that relationship. I don't think we'll ever know the truth if there was misconduct that went on and it wasn't just a tragedy. I mean, it's a tragedy either way, but
Like I said, it's one of
so
those, I think it's just gonna be one of those things where it's like there's this whole kind of like mysticism and romanticism about, these public figures and starlets and people who like die when they're in their prime. And even if the deaths are easily explained, it can still be, people still wonder like what really happened. I think there's a level of disbelief that the public has about those kinds of things. I mean, a recent one was when Anne Heche died,
oh, that was so weird.
and there is video footage of her being wheeled into an ambulance, and she like jumps up on the gurney. But they said that when they got her out of the car, she was dead, that but she was pronounced dead at the scene. So
Yeah.
it's like there's all these like, it's like all these weird things happen. I think that in the case of Brittany Murphy and Simon Monjack, I just think that this is my theory after everything we've talked about is that Diddy did it. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, uh, did he do it? Did he do? But I no,
Did he do it? Did he do?
I think that if Brittany Murphy had died and that was the end of the story, I don't think we'd be talking about it. But I think that the fact that Simon Monjack died 5 months after her of the same exact causes in the same house,
Yeah.
I think that that is what kind of muddies the water a little bit for a lot of people that like to jump on the conspiracy theory bandwagon because it's
Yeah.
so bizarre.
It's so bizarre. I'm gonna
Like
look
if
up.
he had died from something else, like if he maybe he did, like what if he did have a broken heart and he did, like died by suicide, like that,
Right.
even that we probably wouldn't be having this conversation because that would be easily explained. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the
Oh,
fact that what were you gonna say?
something that I just looked at. I hadn't looked at the points list. So seeing if anything was out of bounds or if there was anything conjunct, that parallel with the declination, and that can tell us some things. Well, when Simon Monjack died, the moon and Mercury, the moon were kind of loosely was is still about the mother because it was
Hmm.
the first chart. And then Mercury being the killer, those planets are contraparallel. So that's kind of like a loose conjunction there, which you wouldn't see by looking at this chart. Here, I'll share it one more time. So it means they're more connected than they appear. Because the moon's all the way over here, and you're looking at Mercury's over here. But it's almost like in declination, they're making like a very tight opposition. So again, the mother's involved.
Huh.
Uh, so that one little tidbit, yeah, I hadn't really seen much of a tie between the mother. I do think there's a version of this where you can think the mother had something to do with it, but
Yeah.
I'm too much of a Mercury and Libra. I'm always like, yeah, well, it's all versions of the truth. I don't know.
Right.
But I also can see it just being like everyone involved was just really self-destructive because it was just a dark stuff. They were all, whether she had pneumonia or not, we saw the many years leading up to her death. She was out of it. Everybody was on pills back then. Uh,
Yeah. I'm pretty sure she had an ED at one point.
yeah,
I think it was like pretty widely speculated that she had an ED.
yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Another one we didn't solve, but
Yeah.
I feel like we got some insight there, like, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Happy New Year. Didn't solve
Another
another one.
another fruitless another fruitless venture of trying to figure out what happened
Yeah.
in a weird murder, not murder, sorry. In a weird death situation. Yeah, I don't know. I think that there are too many I think there are too many similarities for it to be a coincidence that they both died the same way with the mother in the house both times, so close together. It's all very strange. And I do think that there is some dark shit going on in Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I think there always has been for a
Hmm.
very long time, at least. You see all of these child actors who grow up to be like unhinged and crazy. And I don't know. I think I wouldn't, I feel like when it comes to Hollywood and the culture in that environment, I wouldn't put anything past anybody.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say about it. I wouldn't put anything past anybody.
Oh, for sure. Hollywood's the craziest place on one of the craziest places on the planet
Yeah.
where anything can happen, good or bad. And yeah,
And
that's
one of the main underlying factors of all of it is money.
yep.
It's money. It's money, it's fame, it's recognition, when you're dealing with these people who a lot of actors didn't grow up with money, so it's you have this access to things that you didn't have before. People don't know how to like I mean, if you handed me like if you cast me in a big budget Hollywood film and gave me like $6 million to like star, I don't know what I would do. I'd probably lose my freaking mind. I'd probably have a pill addiction too.
Oh my
Like
God,
I
I'm
don't
so
know. I don't know what
lucky
I
that
would
I
I don't know
never
what any of
became
us I don't know
famous. I
what any
wouldn't
of
be
us would
here.
do.
Yeah.
But I just think that there were some like I just think that there are some bad there are just some bad actors, no pun intended,
Yeah.
in Hollywood and in LA. And I think that I think that they're also very good at covering their tracks. So if there was foul play involved, I don't know if we're ever going to know about it.
We
But
won't. That's for sure. And I think the one thing I can say for sure also is that whatever happened, the environment she was in did not help.
no,
It made it worse, and that's pretty clear.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well, uh, that's it, folks.
that's it. We don't have a closeout because you gave it up last year.
No,
So
I'm not doing it.
so
Not
there's
doing
nothing to say. We're just gonna say bye, I guess.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. Maybe I'll come up with something at some point. I'm
Yeah.
just not ready yet.
That's your New Year's resolution. You got to come up with some kind of
Yeah.
tagline to close out. I guess I can't too, though.
Yeah, you can do a tagline.
Yeah.
We can have our own taglines.
I almost said adios, muchachos. That's not gonna be it.
Oh my God. Yeah. Let's see.
See,
What could we do like um it's gotta have something that's punny. What's gotta have a punny ending? Um, um,
we'll work on it, and then the next episode we'll have it.
I'm on the spot. I'm putting myself on the spot.
Yeah, me too. We'll have something.
Yeah. Well, until next time, um, just, be careful out there. Just
Don't die.
don't,
And
yeah. We're cutting all of this out, right?
yeah, yeah.